the independence that short-term rentals has given me, the fact that we were able to manage all the properties remotely across 12 time zones with my great team and with the technology orchestration behind that, and just to give that experience to my kids so that we're going to do that every year and spend the summer outside of New York. Welcome back to STR Like the Best. I'm your host, Michael Chang. STR Like the Best is focused for short-term rental operators and investors. The goal of the show is to help you better invest your time and money as you are investing in short-term rentals and real estate more broadly. So we're bringing on guests that can provide a perspective from their part of the industry and help you make better decisions, both for your time and your capital. So I'm very happy today to welcome my guest, Shaun Shirazian from Lodgify. Shaun, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks so much for having me. And you nailed it, man. You got the last name perfect. For those of you wondering, the tip I gave Michael was, if you like Shiraz wine, Shirazian. There you go.
Shirazian, thank you for making it easy on me. I failed phonics in school, so you got the show off to a great start. Outside of your preference for red wine, maybe you'll just introduce yourself and let the audience know a little bit about you and your background.
Absolutely. So I am here in Barcelona, Spain. I've got a young family, two young daughters, a 5.5-year-old and a 4-year-old. We just moved here from London a couple months ago. We've been living abroad for 10 years. So we were in London for 7 years, 3 years in Brazil, and before that was in the US, so in California for a number of years. And I originally grew up in Texas, but I'm first generation American. So my parents are from Iran, so immigrants, heritage and background as well. My parents left Iran at young ages in search of a better life, and my brother and I were raised in the States. As you mentioned, I started at Lodgify earlier this year, and my background before that was at Pipedrive as their chief product officer for a few years, and then at Intuit in a number of product and commercial roles.
And thank you for the background. I think a lot of us here that listen to the show are immigrants and, kind of first time beginning, investors, business owners. So it's great that you come from that type of background and, understand the pain points of starting up a business, maybe without like some of the inherent advantages of someone that's, with more capital or connections, right? Like I think it's very much of a more scrappy nature of how you want to think about your business. And I think that's actually a common thread within short-term rentals. It was not something that you learn in school. Like there was a short-term rental class. It was something that I think a lot of people, as they were searching for an opportunity, found. And the ones that have kind of continued to be on this journey. I started mine in 2016 with one apartment here in New York. Us that have kind of been along for the ride over the last few years, one, feel very fortunate the opportunity. Two, a lot of it's driven by the technology change that's happened, right? One would just be able to do short-term rentals through the online travel agents like Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com and all the other OTA platforms. But a lot of it has to do with to run your operations efficiently through software. There's so much software out there. It's such a critical part of success in this space. I would love for you to introduce not Spotify, Lodgify, and maybe talk about just talk a little about what the product is. Kind of PMS very broadly, but what the product is, and what you're trying to solve for users, operators in short-term rentals as they want to execute their business at a high level.
Absolutely. I'll answer your question, but as I answer, I want to also just touch on what brought me to Lodgify, because there's a key reason in there that ties to what we do and ties to your point actually on the the immigrant point, which I love. My background before Lodgify from a career business standpoint was not in short-term rentals, but a number of years ago I was a host, as we chatted about earlier, in San Diego, and had experience as on Airbnb, being a host, renting out my condo. And, I wish I knew there was a whole category of software like property management software. It would have made my life a lot easier. But fast forward to when the Lodgify opportunity came about, the thing that attracted me to the company was the mission that our founders started the company with 13 years ago, which was ultimately to serve the long tail end of the short-term rental market. the independent hosts that have been traditionally overserved and overlooked by software and expensive property managers that were out there to date. Lodgify was there to really kind of disrupt the market and say, hey, we're going to serve the needs of this end of the market with a simple, easy to use software that's going to, at the time, was really just focused on helping you set up your direct booking website. And actually, the origin story for the name Lodgify was that we wanted to be the Shopify for lodging, hence Lodgify. And there was no channel manager back in the day. There was no property management capability. It was literally just helping you set up your direct booking website. And for a number of years, the growth was spearheaded all just based off of that capability. And then, midway through the company's history is when, we saw the opportunity to get into helping our customers not only with their direct booking channel, but also help to expand their rental across the OTAs, and then ultimately helping them manage their rental end to end, which is where we are now. And so ultimately, the singular problem that we help independent hosts and small scale property managers with is to help them get more bookings with less effort. That is in the
Yeah.
simplest way what we do. And how we do that is through a combination of helping you set up your own direct booking website, helping you get your rental across the most important OTAs and the channels, and helping you automate as much of your life to take away the things that are making this not passive income but active income.
Yeah, no, it can be a lot. I remember in the beginning, I think a lot of people when they start off their journey, they create their Airbnb listing and they're managing through their Airbnb app. And I think, well, I know that as you continue along that journey, you realize that although Airbnb is probably remain the largest contributor to your business, the way that you can ultimately earn more revenue and build it into a real business and not just, a supplier to Airbnb is by being on multiple platforms. And you soon realize how difficult that is without, an orchestration layer, like something that can be able to sync your calendars, your pricing, your guest messaging. Because without that piece, you can't operate your business with any kind of scale. It breaks down even at a small handful of properties. If you're listening out there, that's why a property management system or a PMS system is so critical. That's why it is, in my opinion, the most important piece of software to have right up front, to get it right, to be able to use it appropriately. And it is probably in the beginning, outside of your actual physical property, like the asset that you're actually owning or managing, it's probably the most singularly important decision that you'll make. Because if you get that wrong, your ops are going to suffer and you're going to go through the brain damage of converting to a different PMS system, shortly thereafter. And then, you kind of wasted all that time and effort and momentum. So maybe along that vein, Shaun, let's just talk about how Lodgify performs that function. And maybe like, without naming names, like contrasting that with other providers that serve that long tail of the property management ecosystem.
I'll use an analogy and then kind of hit this head on. When I was at Intuit, the premier products that maybe a number of you know from Intuit, like QuickBooks and TurboTax, disrupted traditional professionals in those categories, right? The QuickBooks really kind of disrupted the traditional CPA that had been there for a number of years and very expensive software at the time that was serving small businesses. And TurboTax, the same thing when it came to CPAs and personal finance advisors, accountants as well. The thing that I learned from my time at Intuit from our founder, Scott Cook, and also was a part of the DNA at Pipedrive as well, which was focused on small businesses and really looking to disrupt the bigger software players of the HubSpots and the Salesforces of the world, was that being obsessed and focused about a singular customer segment that you are going to serve in a meaningful, differentiated way is critically important. And then not, trying to boil the ocean from a feature set standpoint, from an experience standpoint. It needs to be simple. It needs to be easy to use. And so the thing that made Intuit successful, what made Pipedrive successful, and what has made Lodgify successful to date, and will continue to be the thing for us, is to make things incredibly simple and easy to use for the independent hosts. And so for us, it's not about the number of features that we have. It's ultimately the critical things, those working very well, and those working in a way that is simple and easy to understand. And so when we think about getting set up on your own direct booking website, the thing that customers love about the Lodgify experience is that that is incredibly easy to use, right? You don't have to have any tech experience. It literally is as simple as writing a document or putting together a PowerPoint slide or a Google slide, as far as how easy and quick it is to set up your own direct booking website with a reservation widget and all on your calendar and all these sorts of things. And so that same spirit of simplicity and ease of use is an important thread that we have through all these important critical capabilities like the channel manager and the property management components as well. And so when I compare that then to your question as far as like how does that stack up relative to the competitive space that we're in, we're the only one that has been exclusively focused on the long tail end of the market for the last 13 years. And we're going to continue to be exclusively focused on this end of the market going forward. And this is internationally, right? We are a Spain-based company, so we're based in Barcelona, but actually our customer base is 50% North America, 40% Europe, 10% rest of the world. So we're incredibly diverse from a customer base standpoint. And then the last thing I'll say as far as what sets us apart is this, what I call this combination of brain and heart, right? We definitely have the capabilities to help you save time, to help you do to be able to get the most out of your rental from a pricing and channel management standpoint. But we also have the heart component of it, which is we know that there's going to be times where you're going to need help and you're going to need to talk to somebody. And, no matter how easy we make it in the product, there are those moments that you just need that extra peace of mind and confidence, whether it's reaching out to our team, a specialist to support you during the onboarding process if you need it, or if it's further down the road and you want to get extra support on, hey, how do I boost SEO for my direct booking website? Or, hey, how do I ensure that I'm maximizing all of the components and the variables so that my listing ranking within the OTAs is to the max it can be? So these are a few of the things that I believe set us apart.
There's the underserved. I think it continues to be underserved, that long tail. Actually, on that point, what do you define for us the long tail? I think that's, everyone can have a different interpretation of that. Is that one listing? Is that 5, 10? Is that they've been hosting for 6 months? What is how do you go about market segmentation?
Yeah, so at the highest level, we think about the long tail as those with less than 15 rentals. So between the independent hosts and the small scale property managers. And then really, really where the majority of our base are the ones that have 1 to 3. That's really kind of the majority of ours.
Yeah, and I mean one of our prior guests on the show, who runs one of your competitors, Hospitable, Pierre noted, European too, actually, he's in Paris. I guess you guys are at the same time zone, but I think he gave me a stat. It was 86% of hosts are 7 listings or below. I forget the exact number, just based on their research. So, I mean, it's a huge, 8.5 out of 10 hosts out there are, fit squarely within that bucket that you talked about. And most of them are, they don't have a big tech budget. They're probably working a different job, them and their spouse. They need something that's really easy to use. Now that we have 30 plus listings, we use the PMS system that, we've used for a long time. I think stuff that works at 30 listings actually probably doesn't work very well at 3. So I think that's where the ease of use that you're pointing out is really critical. So maybe maybe just pull out, what is there one thing you would highlight from an ease of use that you can talk about with Lodgify? Is it from the direct booking website, just like a Google Doc? But maybe from an onboarding perspective, is it, an internal KPI you can share, something that's like, hey, it takes our users 30 minutes to get set up across 3 different OTAs, right? Is there a metric like that that, people are like, okay, hey, that's something that they can kind of visualize or latch onto?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a few things to point out on this. Today, you can sign up for a trial with Lodgify, for free and, no kind of restrictions or obligations, and directly start getting connected to channels, right? And we see that within the first few minutes of connect or kind of signing up for a trial, we have a ton of our trialists that are connecting directly with Airbnb. Now, one of the great things about doing that is that once you get connected with Airbnb and you have your rental that was on Airbnb connected with Lodgify, that automatically helps us get you a head start with your direct booking website, right? So automatically within a few minutes of starting a trial with no obligation, you're on at least 2 channels, the Airbnb and your direct booking website, and synced with Lodgify. And that gives tremendous confidence to trialists that are starting out and really kicking the tires on Lodgify on, hey, this is something that is right for me. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that we do is, like, we fully recognize that one of the biggest hurdles coming to software for the first time is the mental model shift that you have to go from, right? The majority of our customers that come from us are coming from a world where this is the first property management system that they're trying out. They're coming from a world where they were just on Airbnb before. The mental model when you're just on one OTA and just dealing with Airbnb or one of the OTAs, then to a property management system, which is more of this kind of aggregator view and approach, has to shift. But that's not an easy shift. Like, the language, the terminology, the user
Yeah.
experience is so critical. And so one of the things that we do to help customers with this is one of the artifacts, kind of user experience artifacts, that is a critical transition point from these two worlds is the calendar, right? As simple as that sounds, the calendar is an incredible visual cue and user experience element that we use to help customers kind of understand, hey, this is how you manage your reservations in Airbnb. This is how you're going to manage your reservations across multiple channels in Lodgify. And we help you visually understand that and distinguish that. And this is how we're going to help you get into this new world of property management software.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Got it. Yeah. No, the calendar is it's your best friend. You see a calendar with a lot of blocked out dates with your OTA logo of choice is a beautiful, beautiful sight. I think that's all
Yeah.
for all of us as hosts is what we're obviously striving for, right? It's the occupancy and hopefully a good ADR that or average daily rate that can help us all kind of support the business. And I think it's such an important point for folks out there if you're listening, if you're not on a PMS system and you want to build your portfolio into a business, you need a PMS system. It's really a non-negotiable. And obviously you got to find the right one for yourself, right? Like Lodgify might be the right choice for you. Maybe it's a different one, but explore and find a solution that works for your specific case and try more than one, to be fair. Like trial more than one and see, because ultimately it's going to help you get on one, right? So you try one, you don't like it, maybe you just stop there, you go back to Airbnb. I don't think that's a really good outcome. But to strengthen your business, you have to be on multiple platforms because if you get like a bad review on Airbnb, for example, like Verbal can pick you up or Booking.com can pick you up, right? If you have just like one of the OTAs is an outage or there's some specific issue, it doesn't impact your entire business. And you'd be really surprised at like having multiple distribution channels, how it can really lift your overall occupancy rate. What I mean by that is like, although there's a lot of demand on Airbnb, like there's a lot of demand on Booking.com and other platforms too. And it's really critical to fill out those weekdays. It's very difficult to like make really real money in this business without getting your weekdays booked up, and having multiple distribution channels tied together within a PMS system is one of the key ingredients to doing that. So if you have any aspiration of like making more money and growing this into something more substantial, you got to be on multiple platforms. And by necessity, you have to be on a PMS system. And something that if you're very tech savvy, you can obviously go something more complex. If you're not, or you don't have the time to do it, explore a solution that will work because you just need something that will work. Because if you don't, it's just really hard. It's really hard to scale this business. Especially you're seeing some of the Airbnb platform changes that we're seeing now. That's, I would say, I would argue, not very host friendly, much more guest friendly. So
Going back to the mission of the company, there's a thread in our mission which is all about helping our customers achieve independence. And
yeah,
independence can mean multiple forms. There's financial independence when you're in this space, right? There's the independence from being able to travel and enjoy life and be free from the property. There's the independence from not having all of your eggs in one basket from an OTA standpoint. And so, absolutely, there's definitely the benefit of increasing occupancy rate, increasing revenue. But the other big one that customers come to us for is this independence, right? The diversification of channels,
yeah.
and really the direct one being a key one, in addition to spreading across a few other OTAs as well.
It actually ties back to how we even started the show, the theme of independence. I think as you're an immigrant, I'm an immigrant, people move away from their home country looking for, some type of independence, whether it's political, whether it's financial, social, whatever, reason they have. Like, most people don't leave their homeland, homeland and go to a different place if there wasn't a very strong reason. And I think along that vein, and I think that's where like a lot of at least in my experience of doing this for the last 9 years, like meeting a lot of the people that are operating, the small business owners, they're seeking that independence that you're talking about, financial or a combination of it, financial independence, time independence, location independence. It is a real mission that we're all trying to create here. It's like, yeah, like, look, it's software, it's real estate, everyone's trying to earn a living and, earn a return on their capital. But fundamentally, like, what is the goal of that, right? The goal of that's to buy back your time so that you can spend that on something else rather than whether it's a job that you may not like, whether it's like being a slave to your Airbnb app where you have to answer every single question, whereas you have a property management system that allows you to send automated messages, for example, or an AI enabled message, which the next thing I want to hit on. And lastly, just like independence from being a slave to Airbnb, right? Like if you're just on Airbnb, like you don't really have a business, you're a vendor to Airbnb effectively. If you take a step back and think about it, only when you have your direct booking website, you're across multiple platforms, you actually achieve some kind of independence or at least some kind of diversification in your risks. Because without that, then it's just a really difficult place to live in. And fundamentally, like all of us are trying to achieve some level of independence. And this is a step in that direction with the right tech platform and then gaining the other independence as more of a product of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I want to pivot the topic a little bit towards AI, and it's such a big topic right now. Maybe just talk a little bit how you're either implementing AI into the platform, into your business.
Everything we do starts with the customer. And so for us, like we're obsessed about the customer segment that we're serving and solving for and what are their problems. So the what. Technology is a how, right? And if we think about the technology that was available 13 years ago when Lodgify was started to solve the problems of independent hosts, it looks very different than the toolkit of technology that we have today. But ultimately, the problems that were there 13 years ago are very similar to the problems that were here today. Hosts want to maximize revenue, they want to maximize occupancy rate, they want to save time so there's no work, and ultimately they want to deliver a five-star guest experience. That will lead to passive income, that will lead to peace of mind. Like that's the Maslow hierarchy of needs for the independent host. And that was the same, again, 20, 30 years ago, and it's the same now. It's going to be the same in 20 years as well. I am a big Jeff Bezos fan on this point where he often talks about like there's a lot of talk about what's going to change. Actually, the more important question is what's not going to change. And so for us, what's not going to change are these durable customer problems that we're going to obsess about solving in meaningful ways. Definitely the how is we have an amazing opportunity to solve these in magical ways now with the technology at our fingertips. But it starts first with the customer problem. And so as we think about each of those dimensions, as we think about maximizing occupancy rate, today, for example, hosts come to us and all of a sudden just start connecting channels, right? In pursuit of increasing occupancy rate. But if we think about what a traditional property manager does, you go and let's say I'm an independent host, but I want to outsource this to a property manager. I'm going to go to them. They're going to ask me a series of questions. They're going to try to understand my goals from a revenue occupancy standpoint. They want to understand, the dynamics of the costs associated with the property that I have as far as a mortgage or any other costs like this. And then they're going to create a game plan based off of that. And they're going to execute that on my behalf. And I'm going to obviously pay them a commission for that. And so we think about that and we then apply that to the software world. This is our opportunity. And this is what we're working on right now is how can AI help take the experience today, which is primarily a do-it-yourself experience. You come to the software, you have to do a bunch of work. Yes, there's automation, but ultimately it's you doing a bunch of work. How do we take that and actually turn it to the software doing the work for the user and actioning a lot of these things so that you come to the software understands what your goals are, and ultimately Lodgify will execute on most of that. We'll create a game plan that you can influence and adjust, and then we'll execute on that. And so we are taking the first steps towards that, and we have that in a number of areas as far as helping our customers with guest messaging, which obviously is a critical one where hosts are spending a lot of time in. But this is going to be in pricing and how we think about not only how you think about how you should be pricing, but ultimately the overall area of pricing as far as how you think about promotions and your policies on pricing is super complex, right? And so how do you ensure that you've got some sort of almost pricing guru assistant that you can bounce ideas off of and can help you understand the best pricing for your property? And so we're using AI, again, customer backed in these areas to kind of push the solution as far as we can.
Those are super key. I think there's right now on the guest messaging side, I feel like there's a lot more progress there. We use a company called Hello Hosts that I met a year ago, and they've been great partners for me and a number of my peers in the industry. Now my VAs, like 90% of our messages are automated or AI driven, and it really has opened their time to solve the 10%. The 10 hours they were spending on guest messaging, now they can spend the 9 hours on that one. They can rededicate those 9 hours that were previously kind of less well utilized into something that does 10% of the problems that really need a human intervention. So I think that's like a huge one that I think for hosts, if you're not using some type of AI for guest messaging, I think that's critical. I think most PMS systems, it's pretty much it's going to be a pretty standard feature fairly soon. It's one of the biggest time savers. And the other point on pricing, that's one that people haven't solved it, but it feels like just ripe for disruption. An AI agent that can help you with pricing, with your ADR, with your length of stay, your discounts, all that stuff. It's so data driven. It's such an art too, and I think so many people are so bad at it, myself included. Where there's a better AI agent that can do it for me and for other people would be such a powerful solution for everyone. So if that's on your roadmap, I know you're a product guy, and Intuit and Pipedrive, but someone can build a good AI agent for pricing, or even just a good one. Not even a great one yet. I think there's just a good one out there right now. That would be such a game changer. As we kind of think about, and as you kind of wind down the show now, something question I really want to ask you is, you've moved now from California. You said you're in San Diego. That's where I went to college at UCSD, and then London, a few roles, and now in Barcelona. How do you kind of think about that? What was the thought process of moving? Your children are so young, so probably more recent move to Barcelona. But what was that progression about, moving to different countries and taking on different roles? I'd love to just get, maybe share some insights on that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm incredibly grateful for the experiences that we've had as a family, and that I've had, and it goes back to where we started the conversation as far as what I grew up with, right? I grew up with a dual culture, like the Iranian culture from my parents, but growing up in the US and traveling to Iran at a young age and, seeing the experiences that my parents had, leaving at a young age, exploring a whole new world for them in the United States at the time in the 60s and the 70s opened up the world to me at a young age as far as what an incredible place, like so many rich cultures that were out there. And so in university, it was really important that I study abroad. So I studied abroad for a semester in Spain. Lived with a host family. It was the mom, the grandmother, and the daughter and me, and they didn't speak any English, and
That's
I
cool.
barely spoke Spanish, and so it was a lot of nonverbal communication at dinner table, which was great for me to learn and pick up Spanish. And so I knew early on, I'm like, the world is too small, life is too short. I want to experience this, and I want my family to experience this. And my wife shares the same,
That's cool.
passion for this, and we want to give that to our girls now. And so this is, we feel just really fortunate to have the opportunity to do this, and it's been so enriching. So I highly recommend it. I know it's not easy to do depending on where you are in your life, but it is so rewarding.
I couldn't agree with you more. Luckily for just to share a personal story for me, like I've been living in New York now for almost 15 years, maybe a little bit more. I think after 10, I just stopped counting. But I was in investment banking at some of the large banks here in New York City, at Citi and Merrill, and working those hours, and on the independence theme, wanted to get out and explore like what else I could do. Luckily I found short-term rentals, and it's been a great experience so far. But your point about sharing the different cultures, with the little kids, I'm so grateful that like with technology and with this business, I have two young kids, and we spent the summer in Taiwan, where my family's from and my wife's family's from. So I spent 6 weeks there, living with my in-laws. And they get, my kids get to explore the culture there, actually live in the culture there, see their relatives, not just for like a weekend, but, for 6 weeks, going to summer camp there. It was really cool. I did their language improved, like, or their Chinese got so much better, and everything got so much better. And it was just like, it's like, man, I could never have done this if I was working. Didn't matter how much money I was making. Like, couldn't do that. The independence that short-term rentals has given me, the fact that we were able to manage all the properties remotely, across 12 time zones with my great team, and with the technology orchestration behind that, and just to give that experience to my kids, so that like, and we're going to do that every year, and go and spend the summer outside of New York, maybe in Taiwan, but we'll pick other places too. Barcelona is a great place. Actually, that
I
was
was going to
my daughter's
say,
first trip. My daughter's
oh,
first trip, actually, Barcelona. We had a wedding in we had a wedding in Barcelona, and we brought her. So it's cool. Yeah, it was a great experience, and I just love that. I love
amazing.
how you frame that with your family and travel. It's so cool. It's such a enriching experience.
It is. It is. You're absolutely right. It's that, like you said, the location independence, and you're able to do these sorts of things, and that's awesome. That's great
Uh,
for the family.
no, I just and yeah, no, just blessed to found a space, and looking for you guys here listening. Like short-term rentals is providing me such a great opportunity, and I hope for you guys as you're listening, it can do that for you. It's still relatively early, and just great tools out there like Lodgify and others that can help you achieve that financial location time independence that I think we all are seeking. One or a combination of that. Shaun, as we thank you for spending time with me today. As we end the show here, I'm going to ask my traditional closing question. Entrepreneurship, definitely team sport. We don't get to where we are without the team behind us. Maybe is there someone out there who did something kind for you, right? Like, what's one of the kindest things that someone's done for you along your journey that's helped you get to your seat today as a CEO of Lodgify?
It's my dad. I mean, and it goes again back to where we started, but the sacrifices that he and my mom took to leave their home country. He came from a very poor upbringing with not much. His father had passed away at a young age, and just through hard work and grit, worked his way to come to the US to get his PhD in nuclear engineering and a master's in physics, and to start his own business
Wow.
to provide for a better life for our family. And it was because of those sacrifices and that selflessness that allowed me to achieve the things that I've been able to achieve, like through his example, his role as a role model. So definitely, he's the one.
All right. Well, shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Shirazian. Yeah, no, it's a, hey man, we all stand on the shoulder of giants, right? And that starts with the family, right? And you seem like a really family oriented guy, so am I. It's ultimately, ultimately this is all for the kids, right? It's just we all work hard to provide them a better future, a better life, and then hopefully something to pass on to them. Not just the financial assets, but just like the thinking and the ethics, the way to act, the way to carry yourself. And I think a lot of that is just like parenting. And, I think that's kind of a bad symptom of our current culture here. Like everyone works so much, like you don't ever get to see your kids. You don't ever get to, you don't get to be it's hard to dedicate the amount of time and energy to be like a good dad and a good mom. Right. And, it's just a really cool part of entrepreneurship. Like if you can make it happen, you can earn back that time, and then, you can choose to use that time how you wish. For us, it's like, we're home. Like I don't travel unless I absolutely need to. Like I want to be home. My kids are young. They're gonna be young for a very, very short period of time. So as much as time I can be here, and even though they have to cry at 3 a.m, I have to get up and but like those are the memories that you look back on. It's not the accolades or whatever or a number in your bank account. It's just like ultimately like how do you get carried on? It's like the memory of your kids. Like that's like
Absolutely.
nothing else really doesn't really matter. It matters, but like not really, or at least in my opinion, not really, or less so.
Yeah, absolutely. No, couldn't agree with you more.
Thank you for sharing your story today again, and thank you for leading a great company. We look forward to great things to come. Thanks for joining the show today.
I appreciate it, Michael. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So, folks, thank you for listening to another episode here at STR Like the Best. And if you found something here in the show that is helpful, please do subscribe and share. I'm going to drop the link for Lodgify's website, www.lodgify.com. So, please go and take a look at the website and, explore the offering. If it's a great fit for you, you should definitely trial it out and see if it's a good solution for you. Actually, Shaun, before I let you go, if someone wants to reach out to you or connect with you directly, is there a link or is there some way to reach out to you?
Absolutely. I read every piece of feedback that comes through our product. We have a Slack channel where every little piece of customer feedback I read, and the team knows it. And so I'm all over it. Every piece of email I respond to, every piece of feedback that comes to us, I receive, I'm on. So email me directly. It's super important for me to have a pulse on this. So you can email me at shaun.shirazian@lodgify.com.
All right, we'll put that in the show notes too. Email Shaun with your feedback. He's a product guy, so he wants to know everything that's going on with the product.